Hey guys, Medea here, and welcome to another episode of my podcast. So, today we're going to talk about finding purpose, finding your purpose, finding your reason for being, just finding what your soul is calling you to do. I think everyone goes through a period where they're trying to figure out, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I meant to do? What am I meant to contribute to this world? I know recently I've had a lot of conversations with different friends of mine and acquaintances and people coming to me to ask for advice or help or guidance or just to air out what's going on in their minds. And I think the main underlying topic of these conversations is, why am I here? I don't know what I'm meant to do. I'm not sure what I'm meant to go for. There's a lot of mental anguish that goes into finding your purpose. And I think especially once you enter into your 20s and they start progressing from early 20s, and especially now when you start landing in your mid 20s, people's lives take off at different rates. You may look across your shoulder and you're like, okay, this person is already earning this much or has this going on and they've started this company. This person has this job. This person has these degrees. This person has bought a house. This person has bought a car. This person's married. And now you're stuck in the middle of a whole bunch of your peers and friends and the people that were once in the same playing field as you. You're seeing them as being at different stages in life. The comparison syndrome starts setting in, especially with the age of social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We keep tabs on each other and everyone is posting their best selves, their highlight reels, and a lot of the time a self that doesn't even exist. So when you are feeling bad about yourself, seeing people's best selves is very hard on the mental. You try to figure out, how am I supposed to get from where I am to where they are? How am I supposed to get from where I am to where I'm meant to be? And how do I start that journey? I think starting the journey is the hardest part, because you want to put your time into something that is not only long term but is what you're meant to do. And figuring out what you're here and what you're passionate about can be really hard. I'll talk about my own life for a second for some reference, and maybe it'll resonate with someone out there. I think for a large period of time in my life, I was this person. I was always really obedient. I was always scared of authority because I had a chronic fear of getting in trouble. I would get most of my accolades from achievements. I always wanted to be the best because I just wanted people to be proud of me. And that was the type of validation that I got. I got my validation from people being proud of me because when I was younger, I just was never the popular person. I was at the bottom of the totem pole. So how I got my own gratification was from doing well in school and being a good child, quote unquote, and just being on the right side of authority. And I think in growing up in the evolution of that, I started becoming a people pleaser. And I wanted to please my parents, I wanted to please my teachers, and ultimately I wanted to be a good influence on the world. But not only that, I wanted to be extremely successful because I linked success with gratification. However, the journey or the route there was very undefined for me. All I knew was Forbes 100 and a lot of money and a big house and a private jet, and the list goes on. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that, is that especially when you're younger, you link your success with the things, and sometimes we lose track of the mission. So when I would find things that I enjoyed, that I liked, that didn't seem to fit in the category of what is acceptable to be a good businesswoman, because at the end of the day, I was obsessed with business. I loved businessmen. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed my life. I think I was 15, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and before I'll be like, I want color-coded private jet, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized it's not really about the money. And then I went forward to be like, I want to impact and change the world, although I still want the money, right? Okay, now I'm getting off topic. But the main thing here is when I had my implosion through this mix of undefined structures, purpose, and path, I knew I wanted to be successful, but from here to success, the journey was just really blurred. I wanted to be passionate because when I looked at all of if I take the business people that inspired me, one thing reigned supreme. They were all passionate. Steve Jobs himself said that you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, you'll quit. Why? Because you're sane. And that really rings true. You have to find what you're passionate about. So now I'm in my 20s and I'm like, what am I passionate about? I don't know. I'm confused. I need to figure me out. And for the first time in my life, I rebelled against authority and I stood up for myself. I said no. I know a lot of people did that whole jailbreak phase if he's above me, and you know what I mean. In high school, I never did that. Why? Because I was so scared of authority. I was so scared of getting in trouble, and the repercussions were not worth the gratification of rebelling against authority. But my rebellious phase was my liberator, because through that, I was like, this is not what I want. I'm done listening. I'm done conforming, and I'm done being someone that other people want me to be. I need to figure out who I am. And when I found music, I got on the mic one time, which is funny because I had already bought myself a mic before, in the closet type thing. Very few people knew I had it. I would make these covers, and I never really realized this until I found them the other day. I would literally make these songs off of beats I would download. It was crazy. I was living a double life. But when I went into the studio and got on the mic for the first time, I never looked back, because that feeling, I had become so dead inside. I was depressed. I was sinking in this hole of meaninglessness. That's not a word, but I think you know what I mean. And then when I got on that mic, I found passion for the first time. I felt passionate. And this feeling inside me that had been dormant and that I hadn't felt in years and years and years got reignited. And for the first time in my life, I said, you're not going to stop me from doing this, because I finally have found what feels right. And that started the evolution of me coming into myself and finding myself and standing up for myself. I was obedient for so long, it became the death of me. I conformed for so long, it became the death of me. Me wanting to, finding my validation through people being proud of me and through doing the right thing became the death of me, because when I had nothing to show for people to be proud of, the meaning of my life just disappeared, and I felt like a failure, but I wasn't. I just wasn't doing what I was meant to do. And in 2018, I spent it it was weird. It was the best year of my life and the worst year of my life. And then I emancipated myself from everything, disconnected myself from everyone. And in 2019, I'm like, I'm going to figure out what I like. I was 23 that year, I turned 24 at the end of the year, but I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out what I like. I was finally, for the first time, writing songs alone at home. And suddenly my sound started changing because the anxieties of people hearing me went away. I was painting and drawing, filming YouTube videos, watching things, exploring, thinking, evolving. I spent so much time with myself. And I think the long-winded explanation that got me here is that to find your purpose, you have to spend time with yourself. I spent so much time with myself, and I was trying to figure out what makes me happy, what do I enjoy. I was trying different things. I was figuring my life out. I was writing here and there. I was doing a whole bunch of things that I found interesting, but I was trying to find the resonance and the passion, because don't get it twisted. If you're following your passion and what you're passionate about, it doesn't mean it doesn't get hard. I may love making visuals, but editing for literally 40 hours on one video can get can drive you crazy. You'll restart that 2 minute video literally 150 times to the point where you're like, I don't know if I can do this. But it's the joy of the creation that keeps you going. Okay, you need to find something where you don't mind the endless monotony that comes with the work that goes behind it. Okay, as musicians, we love what we do, we love creating, we love making these things, but then writing the song and recording the song can be two different things. I could record the same vocal line 50 times, 100 times, 200 times, and the word won't sound right. The line won't sound right, it won't fit well at all. And then we finish the song, then we realize we don't like this version, and then we reconstruct it and we remake it just to trash it when it comes down to picking the song list for the project. Do you hear what I'm saying? You can love something, you can like it, but do you have enough passion to endure the mindless monotony, the endless drone of repetitiveness and work that goes behind the creation? I had to figure out what I really enjoyed, and in finding my purpose, I had to find my truth. I would say find yourself, but I feel like finding yourself is a lifelong journey. I had to find the initial spark that was Mudiwa again. I had to figure out who I was. And the thing is, I had lived my entire life with a million masks, and the masks had become me so much that I didn't realize they were on. It took me speaking to people and figuring myself out, and psychiatrists and psychologists, but mainly God. The thing is, it doesn't matter what you believe in, it doesn't matter where you stand, there is mind, body, soul, spirit. You have to get in touch with your spiritual side, because within the unseen lies your truth. Within that unseen lies your intuition. Within the unseen lies your inner voice, and that inner voice is your compass. The higher I raised my frequencies and my vibrations, the more in touch I got with myself, the more I meditated, because in meditation there's silence. And in silence, you quiet your mind, and in quieting your mind, you're able to hear your inner voice. In meditation, in soul searching, in figuring myself out, and understanding frequency, vibration, law of attraction, God, words, everything that comes out of it, I was able to get closer and closer and closer to my intuition, my inner voice. And I realized my inner compass will steer me in the right direction. Once I quieted my mind, which was overthinking and plagued and insomnia and this, that, and an amalgamation of things, I was able to hear what my soul was trying to tell me. My compass was steering me in the right direction. I was being steered toward art. I was being steered toward writing. I was being steered toward music. I was being steered toward creation, because my entire life I knew I was supposed to impact people. I knew I was supposed to save people. I knew I was supposed to touch them with my story, with my words, with my testimony. But the thing is, when you know you're supposed to impact people and you're not impacting people, it hurts you, because you're like, what lives am I foregoing because of my own internal implosion? I know I'm supposed to help and save people, but because I'm going through my own internal implosion, I'm not helping and saving people. And then you carry a different type of weight, the weight of other people's lives. It's just that how I'm meant to help and save and impact the world and make my mark and give my offering was what was missing. And it was missing because I didn't know who I was. To all the people trying to find their purpose, my answer is you have to know who you are. Who are you? What do you like? What are you interested in? What do you think your offer to the world can be? And you have to take time out to understand you, to connect with you, to realize who you are. Who are you when you're not amongst your friends? Who are you when you're not on social media? Who are you when you don't have to project the person that you've created? Who are you when you're alone and you have to figure out how to be alone? Quarantine, when it came to coronavirus, I'm not taking away from the tragedy. I'm not taking away from the deaths. I'm not taking away from the job losses. I'm not taking away from all the negative impact. But it has been a blessing in disguise with a lot of people. Why so many people are breaking quarantine and isolation and staying away and having to go out and partying, and there's all this controversy with people being around people, is because they don't know how to be with themselves. People are so scared of being alone that they would rather risk getting a life-threatening disease than being alone with themselves. And I think that is a reflection of people's mental states, their heart spaces, their spiritual spaces, is because there's so many things you don't want to deal with and you don't want to face. Sometimes being alone with yourself, you realize that the life that you're living and the person that you're projecting is not what's meant for you. What you're doing isn't who you are. Who you're projecting isn't who you're meant to be. There's this ongoing spiral, and then you realize that everything is a lie, it's a facade, and who am I and what am I doing and what am I projecting, and it freaks you out. An anxiety attack can be triggered by way less than the truth of a false reality. And people's mental health is going down a spiral because we don't know how to deal with that. Finding purpose means finding truth, and finding truth means unraveling the lies. It means shining a light on the darkness. It means figuring yourself out. Sometimes at 19, you'll be like, it's a bit too late for me to figure out who I am. At 25, you'll be like, it's too late for me to take time out because everyone is racing ahead and I'm being left behind, and it's too late for me to figure out who I am. So I may as well carry on down the path that I'm on and get settled, get established, lay a foundation. And then everyone at 19, at 25, at 35, at 40, at 60, at 50, if we all think that we're running out of time and it's too late, when is the right time? When is the right time to figure out who you are? When is the right time to find purpose? And let me tell you, there's a reason why it feels good to help people. There's a reason why it feels good. It feels good because it's what you're meant to do. Sometimes people are like, oh, like the fact that you feel good from helping people is bad. No, it's not. You feel good because it's what you're meant to do. Your soul is calling you somewhere. And it's time you start listening to it and you're like, okay, you've told us we have to center in on ourselves. You told us we have to find our passions. You told us we have to isolate ourselves or disconnect from the world and figure ourselves out on our own. How do we do that? How do I raise my vibration? How do I get in touch with my intuition? How do I find my passions? Where do I start? Well, you start by figuring out how to be okay alone. And this goes for relationships, friendships, life, business, whatever it is. If you aren't able to be alone, you'll never be whole around anyone else. It means that you're going to rely on different things. Some people rely on people to make them feel good. Some people rely on friendships. Some people rely on relationships. Some people rely on gratification. Who are you when people aren't validating who you are? Who are you without the likes and the follows? Who are you without the squad and the clique? Who are you without the club and the bottles? Who are you without everything in your life? You need to figure out who that is. And I'm not saying detach from the world, because there is a toxic element in isolation. It helped me, but then I got too comfortable isolating myself. Spending 2 months without leaving your house pre-quarantine isn't healthy. I would literally spend months and months and months and months and months at home, and I wouldn't leave, and it would just be so unhealthy. I would spend literally like weeks just being inside my home without leaving my home. Now this turns into a distorted reality now. If you over isolate, is because you're now living in a world created by you. And when I initially went through my worst depression, I know in the second year of my university experience, before I left UCT, there was a time where I was living in a fabricated reality that I made in my mind. And that's the reason why I would sleep all the time. That's the reason why I didn't even want to go to campus, is because I was so excited to close my eyes and live in this reality that I made in my mind. To someone who's never gone through this, you think this is insane. but that's how I coped and that's how I was okay. So you have to find a healthy medium between figuring out who you are when you're alone and reintegrating yourself into society in your truth. Here's the thing. A lot of the time you're offering, or what you dream or what you believe or what you think you can offer the world might be a little different than what's already there. And a lot of the time we change things and we edit things because we feel like we can't be our true authentic selves because people won't be able to receive it well. And let me tell you something, we're all different, because if we all were lived in our truth, the world would suddenly work like a circuit. It's just that the person who's assembling the parts wants to be the person making the parts, so now there's no assembly line. It means that the bolt guy wants to be the screw guy, so now there are no bolts. You know what I mean? You have to be in your truth, and everyone's different for a reason. We go through this evolution of self, we go through this finding yourself, but at the end of it, it's all for you. You have to center in yourself and figure it out for yourself. Before I ramble, I hope I've said everything that I need to. Here's the thing, guys. I do this unscripted. Sometimes a thought will just pop in my head, or like a topic of discussion will pop into my head, and I'll just go free reign on it, which is how I best communicate. So, in the expansion of topics, trust me, this podcast is going to last for a long time. So we will expand on this topic. But this is stage one in finding your purpose, which is centering in and figuring yourself out on your own. That's stage one. Oh, and before I forget, you need to figure out what you like if money was never a factor. If making money wasn't a factor, what would you do? And then once you figure that out, you figure out how to monetize it. Don't start with the money, start with the passion, and then the passion will lead you to money. And I think that is the final point of this discussion. Thank you for listening to this podcast, guys. I hope it helped someone out there. I hope it shed some light. I hope it shed some truth. And I hope that you were blessed by this conversation. Follow my social medias if you're interested at Moody Chats on Instagram and Twitter, MUDIE_CHATZ, and my YouTube channel, Simply Mudiwa. You'll be able to find everything else through those links. And if you want to listen to my music, search Nice Muse on all music platforms. With that being said, I will bid you adieu, and light, love, and good vibrations. Peace.